guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, welcome. My name's Latoya and I would love to have you be a part of my ever-growing band of misfit toys. In today's video, I'm going to be doing the palette tag. This was first originated by Samantha March here on YouTube, obviously, and another lady, I'm not sure of her name, but I will leave the details for both of them in the description box down below. So if you would like to know a little bit more about my palettes, then please keep watching. The reason I'm doing this video is because Angelica, I really don't know how to say her last name and I don't want to butcher it. Here on YouTube, I'll also leave her information down below. Did the tag and I love her and I thought it was a really good idea to explore my eyeshadow palettes. And yeah, there are a few different categories here and it was really hard for me because I have 150 plus eyeshadow palettes. I don't want to say the exact number because it was shocking even to me and I don't think I counted them all, so there's that. So yeah, let's start. Show your newest palette. Well, I bought two palettes at the same time, so yeah. That's it. That's the tweet. These are the most recent palettes I purchased. They're both by Juvia's Place. They were having a sale. It was a pretty good sale, that's why I got both of them. I think it was one of their bundle situations that they were doing for quarantine. Any case, the first one is the Nubian 3 palette. I've been wanting this for the longest time and I kept holding off because the colors swatched and photographed looked a little bit on the light side. I wasn't sure if it was going to work for me, but I absolutely love the color scheme. It is did I say Nubian 3 Coral? Anyways, so it is a coral and actually cool tone color scheme with the grays in here and the silvers, which I really like. I can't wait to try that out and add it to my collection because I believe I have the Nubian 1 and 2. And then I got, oh no, this is the Nubian 1. Hello, I have the Nubian 2 only. This is the original Nubian palette and I also wanted this as well, so I picked it up. They came together. This is a neutral warm tone palette, so I'm really excited to try this out. I like the packaging because it's cardboard, it's nice and lightweight. There's no mirrors in it, which is kind of a downside, but also a plus at the same time because if you travel, then you don't have to really worry about that. I guess you could just bring a separate mirror, which I always do anyways. Alright, yeah, so those are my two newest palettes. Next is show your oldest palette. My oldest palette is by Anastasia Beverly Hills and it is the original Amrezy palette. I think this came out in 2014, so yeah, do the math. This is the palette right there. Pretty basic shades that Amra used back then, very much identifiable with her style, and yeah, this is my oldest palette. I can't bring myself to part with it because it's a really good palette. Even though I probably haven't touched it in quite a while, that's still okay. You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with it. I could pass it down to my sister or something. The next, I gotta stop saying okay. Up next, show your most expensive palette. My most expensive palette is my Viseart Grand Pro Volume 1 palette. I also have the Volume 2. I was considering getting the Volume 3, but those are pretty pricey. So this palette is $175. That is it right there. It is a really great comprehensive palette. The first two rows, however, it's just like, I really love Viseart shadows and it is definitely worth the money. So yeah, I didn't feel too horrible about it because as you can see, it gets a fair amount of use. And yeah, that is my most expensive palette. Wow, I haven't looked at this in a little bit, so it's good that I am doing this tag because I can rediscover palettes that I have in my collection. Next is most affordable palette, and I would say anything by ColourPop. I have all of this collection of palettes that they have. They have a blue one, green, red, orange, and yellow. The yellow is the Honey. This is the Just My Luck. I picked it because I like the greens. I don't know. So yeah, very St. Patrick's Day themed. I love these green shades. I've actually used this palette a couple of times. It's really nice. The pigmentation is really great. It's on point. Love these little palettes. Great for on the go. Show your everyday palette. My everyday, I don't really have an everyday palette, but if I were to have like an everyday palette, which would be leaning more on the neutral side of things, it would be one of two of these nude palettes by Huda Beauty. I have this one, the Nude Rich, and I also have the Nude Medium, and they both suit my skin tone. I love the packaging on this. It's like faux snake skin or something like that, and check these colors out. How nice are those? Super rich, super pigmented. Her smaller palettes tend to be hit or miss, but this one and the medium one are everything. Absolutely, absolutely love them. Most colorful palette. I have, as I said, I have 150 plus palettes, so I have quite a few of them to choose from. I decided to go with this one right here by Sephora. Hi guys, it is Editing Me here. For most colorful palette, I don't know what I was thinking. I want to give this one some shine. This literally is the OG. It is the Mi Vida Loca remix by Kat Von D. This came out well before she was canceled and all that stuff. So that's what it looks like on the back. That's what it looks like on the front. And everyone coveted this palette. Like, how gorgeous is that palette? I love it to this day. It has amazing colors. It's super colorful, even though it has that neutral row in the middle. It's kind of like to mix and enhance and deepen or lighten the colors on the outside. So yeah, that would be my most colorful palette, and I still enjoy it regardless of whatever controversy. So yeah. It's one of the 3 original Sephora Pro palettes. This is, what was this called? This was the editorial one. There was the editorial, the warm palette, and the cool palette. Ooh, I forgot there is a sheet inside of there. And then it has a massive mirror that I don't want to blind you. Those are the colors right there. So it's pretty colorful, tons of choices in there. I have only used this palette a handful of times, but it's really nice. The pigmentation is really great, and I've done quite a few looks, even though I've used it only a few times, and I try to use as many colors as I could. And yeah, they all worked for me, and I didn't get any duds, which is always a plus. Up next is my smallest palette. My smallest palette is a Viseart palette. This is it right here. I didn't do small as in amount of shadows. I did small as like the size of the actual palette. And yeah, so I picked this one. This is the Theory palette, and it's the cashmere one because there are a few Theory palettes. This is the more cool toned of the Theory palettes. I think there's, I don't know, about 6 of them or so. So these 6 little shadows, they're the same size as the bigger palette that I just showed you. And yeah, there are 3 shimmery shades and 3 matte shades, and I've only used this palette a couple of times, but looking at it, I'm just like, yeah, it's really interesting for something so basic. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this aside and using this, probably all of these palettes, and maybe do a look with each palette. That would be fun, right? All right, biggest palette. My biggest palette, I thought it was something else by like Morphe or Beauty Bay, but I was just like, you know, I don't know. I decided to go with this one because this was on hand, and to be honest, I can't really move around too much because, can you see that? Yeah. I have a boot on, I promise. I am wearing pants. because I have a stress fracture in my foot, so it's a little bit difficult. That's why I'm kind of like sitting at an angle, because that's the most comfortable for me right now. Anyways, biggest palette, the Carnival XL Pro by Be Perfect Cosmetics in collaboration with Stacey Marie MUA. This palette is life itself. The original Carnival palette is amazing. I still have it. I haven't used it as much, but this palette, this I guess could be my everyday palette because it like has everything in it. The colors are perfection. You have 3 highlighter shades over here, some of the old shades from the original Carnival palette, nice neutral colors in here, and you have the rainbow just here. It's just great. The shimmers are great. I have not had any problems with any shade in this palette, and I use this palette literally to death. So if you're in the market for an everything palette, this palette right here is the way to go. Palette with the best memory. This palette fits into a couple of categories, and I can't help it. It is discontinued. I'm sorry, just like the Amrezy palette, it is 6 years old. But this is the Master Palette by Mario and Anastasia Beverly Hills. This palette is everything. I remember when I purchased this palette, I think about a couple of weeks after Mario did a spontaneous meetup in New York City, and I had like an hour and a half to get down there. I did the most awful makeup, and I drove down there and I got to meet him, and it was really fun. I'm mad that I didn't bring my own palette, and also mad that I did not purchase a backup. So I have a picture with him. Definitely not going to insert it because I looked crazy. But look at this palette. This palette is literal perfection. Do you see the pans? This is so painful because these colors are amazing, and I open this palette from time to time, but I haven't touched it in a couple of years, I would say. Has it? Yeah, because I know that it can't be replaced. I wish they would do like another run because I would buy like 4 backups. This palette is amazing, amazing. Sorry you can't get it anymore. A palette worth the hype. I would say the NATASHA DENONA Biba palette. Oh, it's kind of washed out, I'm sorry, but this palette, I was like, surely it's just another neutral palette. Hell no, this palette is the best. It is perfect. I love it. At first when I saw these colors, I was just like, okay. I would go in with a color and it would be shocking because it wouldn't be what you see here in the pan. It just translates different when it gets on your skin, which was really interesting. The variations of warm neutrals, they're in no way the same, the shades. The shades are completely independent from each other. No two are similar. They're very different and they're amazing. Like a couple of the shades I can just throw as a wash of color on my lid and head out the door. They're so versatile and I would say universal. They're just beautiful, beautiful, buttery, pigmented amazingness. NATASHA DENONA Biba palette. It's on the pricey side, I know, but I would say if you had to get one palette, that could be the palette. Palette not worth the hype. I wasn't really sure. I was trying to think back about this, and I decided to go with the Huda Beauty Nude palette. Everyone was talking about it. I was excited. I saw these really cool shades with the like, I don't know, what would you call that? The spotting in them. And I was like, this looks like a dope palette. It is a dope palette, just not for my, oh, I can fold it. Just not for my particular skin tone. Yeah, so there's that. $65, just catching. But yeah, beautiful packaging and all that, and beautiful colors, just not beautiful for me. This one was a hard one, but also not hard because this palette fits As I said before, so many different categories. And the next one is favorite palette from a favorite brand. I don't have a favorite brand per se. Favorite palette, this again, Master Palette by Mario. Is ABH my favorite brand? No, definitely not. I have a lot of their palettes, but it's not my favorite brand. Yeah, this is my favorite palette, as you can see. I don't think anything will replace this palette. It's just beautiful. Alas, I can't get it anymore. As I said before, like repeating myself is horrible. This also falls into the next category, which is it my most used palette? Okay, it's a tie for my most used palette, and it's already palettes that I have here in front of me. It would have been this one, honorable mention, and this one, definitely most used. I've been really getting into this palette on pretty much a daily basis. That's how I did this eye look here today, and it's just everything. That black packs a punch, literally. She's coming out with a new palette, and I cannot wait to see what that is all about. I'm excited, hyped. Excited is not a strong enough word for how I feel about this palette that she's gonna hit us with. All right, the last one is most underrated palette, and I would say this Huda Beauty Original Rose Gold palette. Definitely the most rose textured shadows rose gold edition. I would say this is the most underrated palette because it got remastered. People were complaining about these shades in here that she had. I forget what she called these shades. I guess it was the textured shades. I'm not sure. Whatever. But people were like complaining about it and saying that the shadows were dry. They do feel dry and gritty, but they are super pigmented and they blend really well. And I love this palette. This palette is a really great palette. They should have never messed with it. I did swatch the new remastered rose gold palette, and I was like, do I need it? And I was like, are you being serious right now? You have the original one and it is great. So yeah, that is it for the palette tag. If you like this video, please give me a big thumbs up. It really helps me out. Leave a comment, let me know what you would like to see next. Maybe looks with any of these palettes or something else, or pick a palette out of a hat, and I probably have it, and I will definitely get to that. Are you subscribed to my channel? Because if you are not, oh, what are you waiting for? It is completely free. $0.00, free 99. It's a good time over here at the Latoya Show, so please click that subscribe button, and while you're down there, hit the notification bell so that you will be notified when I upload my next video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.